Hard disk is a magnetic disk on which we can store computer data. Data has to be accessed in sequentially using in magnetic tape. Bits are recorded as a magnetic spot on the tape along several tracks. So what are frames? Frames are nothing but it is a group of blocks and separated by a gap. Dear students, welcome to CS classes. I am Ravi Kumar KR, lecturer in computer science, Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence, Mysore. Students, let us start our session with the topic memory devices. So, in our previous session, we have also discussed about memory devices. Now, let us see in this session, we are going to talk about secondary memory devices. Now, here in this example, first one is hard disk. Now, all of you can see the image or picture of the hard disk. This is the computer hard disk what normally we use to store data and information. Now, let us see about hard disk. Hard disk is a magnetic disk on which you can store computer data. So, this hard disk, it works based on the property of magnetism, or it is a magnetic disk. So, whatever you can see, this is nothing but a disk. This is of magnetic material or coated with magnetic material. So, you can store data and retrieve data randomly. So, another property of this hard disk is we can retrieve the data randomly. Means, what is the meaning of the word randomly? We can pick up the any data at any point of time. I mean, we did not to process sequentially, or we did not to look for a file sequentially. That is the meaning of the word randomly. Now, disk storage systems are essentially based on magnetic properties, and that's what I've told you here. So, hard disk, it works based on the properties of magnetism or magnetic properties. The magnetic disk consists of a high-speed rotating surface and coated with magnetic recording medium. So here this high-speed rotating disk surface, this is what the circle, it is in the form of circle. This is a rotating disk. So this disk is coated with magnetic recording medium. Now, the rotating surface of the disk is a round flat plate. So, this is what I told you. This is a round flat plate. And when writing data, a write head magnetizes the particles on the disk surface as either north or south pole. So, this is the properties of magnetism. So, here when writing the data, write head, and whenever we are talking about this hard disk and there is a read-write head will be there. So, the particular read-write head, as and when it gets a command or signals from the computer, it processes or it moves to the particular location accordingly. So, that is, so whenever there is a hard disk and here there is something called a read-write head. So, these read-write head help us to write data onto the disk and read the data and information from the disk. So, this is about hard disk. Now, let us move on to next slide. When reading data, a read head converts the magnetic polarizations on the disk surface to a sequence of pulses. So, this is the function of read head, and this works with the properties of magnetism. Now, the read and write heads are generally combined into a single head unit. So, there is a head part of it. So, head contains one is read and write head that is assembled in a single unit called head. There may be more than one read-write head. Next point is the data is arranged as a series of concentric rings. Each ring is called a track, is subdivided into number of sectors. each sector holding a specific number of data elements. So here now we can see the picture of this. See, this is how we find tracks and sectors. That is here. Data is arranged as a series of concentric circles. So these circles are called as tracks, and this track again divided into number of sectors. So here track sector. So here there are these, you can see the lines. This divides the tracks into number of sectors, and this is the place where you can see the one segment, one part, that is where the data information is written or stored in the hard disk. So this is track and sector. Now let us see another secondary memory device is nothing but a magnetic tape. So this is magnetic tape. This recording medium contains a thin tape with a coating of fine magnetic strip used for recording digital data, and this is also works on the principle of magnetism or with magnetic property. This is a tape coated with magnetic material, and students, like this very good example for this is our audio cassette type. If you remember, if you see that audio cassette type, so with the same technology it is going to store the data, and here the difference is that these magnetic tapes are different in size and shape, and here the tape itself is a strip of plastic. As I told you, this is made up of a plastic material and coated with magnetic recording medium. So in the previous hard disk what you have seen the device, there also it has the central disk, it was coated with magnetic recording medium. Similarly here also the magnetic tape, this is a tape, a plastic tape coated with magnetic recording medium. Bits are recorded as a magnetic spots on the tape along several tracks, as what you have seen, tracks and sectors. So data are stored in the tape in tracks and sectors. And read-write heads are mounted one in each track, so the data can be recorded and read as a sequence of character. So here we could able to see the read-write head on each and every track to read and write the data on the magnetic tape. So this is one of the secondary memory device, that is magnetic tape. So it is, students, it is almost similar to the audio cassette what we have seen. Now let us see the next slide. Here this is another image of magnetic tape, and data is stored in frames across the width of the tape. The frames are grouped into blocks. Here data is stored in the form of frames, and these frames are divided into number of blocks or records which separated from other blocks by gaps. And here entire the data is divided into number of blocks, and each blocks are separated by a gap, and those groups are called as frames. So what are frames? Frames are nothing but it is a group of blocks and separated by a gap. And magnetic tape is a serial access medium. Serial access medium similar to audio cassette. So the data cannot be randomly located. So in the previous example, in the previous hard disk, what we have seen that, so that is storage medium, we can pick up or access the data randomly. But in this example, in the magnetic tape, it is we have to access the data sequentially or serially. So what is the meaning of that? Here, now just you look at the example of a audio cassette. In audio cassette, if there are 100 songs or 100 records are stored. So suppose if at all if I want to access the record number 50, then here I cannot access this randomly. So I have to fast forward 49 data or 49th record, then only I am able to access or pick up 50th record. So similarly, in the same way, here data has to be accessed in sequentially used in magnetic tape. This is a secondary memory device. Now let us move on to one more secondary memory device, that is floppy disk. Now students, we can see the image of this. This is a floppy disk what normally we are using. Now the floppy disk drive uses a thin circular disk for data storage. So what is a floppy disk? This floppy disk, this is the disk. So inside, this is the case, this is the case outside. Inside this you find a thin circular disk, and that is the where data are stored, and it is a soft magnetic disk. So as we have seen in hard disk, if you look at the hard disk, it was a solid metal. So but here it was not flexible, but here it is a soft magnetic disk. Floppy disk is a soft magnetic disk. It is a very flexible. So it is a thin magnetic coated disk contained in a flexible or semi-rigid protective jacket. So this is a floppy disk. As I told you, this is the outer case, and this is a type of floppy disk. It is a bit hard. And here inside this we find a thin circular disk. It is coated with magnetic material or magnetic recorded medium. So outside that we find a semi-rigid or flexible protective jacket, that is the outside cover. The disk rotates at 360 rotation per minute. See, this is how whenever you are reading any data in a computer, you might have seen the sound or a rotation sound in the CPU. So that is because of the either even a hard disk or even in the floppy disk. So it starts rotating at a specified speed. In this example, this disk floppy disk rotates the 360 rotation per minute. The read-write head, again, it makes the physical contact with the disk surfaces. So here again the head, there are read and write heads which is going to move according to the signal or according to the command. So accordingly is going to physically in touch with the magnetic material or the disk coated with magnetic material. That is how the reading and writing operations happens in floppy disk. In floppy disk, the data is recorded as a series of tracks and subdivided into number of sectors. So this is what I have seen in the previous slide. We know what are tracks and sector. The concentric rings are called tracks. Again, all tracks are subdivided into number of sectors. So that is the place where data are written. So the floppy disks are usually comes in 3.5, 5.25 and even 8 inches in size and hold 1.4 MB of data. The size of floppy disk generally comes with 3.5 inches, 5¼ inches and 8 inches even in size, and the capacity of the floppy disk is around 1.44 MB of data. And disk drives for floppy disks are called floppy drives. So here, suppose if you want to read the data from the floppy disk, so first it has to go inside a floppy disk drive. So floppy disk we have to inside the drive so that data can be written, or we can read data and data can be written through disk drives. And floppy disks are very slower. The operation is very slower as compared to previous storage devices, and it is less expensive and portable. Portable in the sense it is we can take the floppy disk wherever we want and we can make use of this, and it can be accessed randomly. So in this we can access the data randomly. So but in the case of magnetic tape, we have to access the data in sequential order. Now let us move on to one more secondary storage device, that is optical disc. So by looking at this image, you know what are optical discs. So this is nothing but your CD-ROM drives or CD-ROM, that is compact disc read-only memory. So optical disc, the optical discs are the storage medium from which data is read and to which it is written by lasers. So optics, the meaning of the word optics is nothing but light. So this works with the principle of light by using lasers. So if you look at the previous storage devices, and those devices were worked with the concept of magnetize and demagnetizing. So but here this works with the concept of optics or optical disc, which were with the laser technology. And the optical disc is a random access storage medium. So it is also an example for random access storage medium where we can access any data stored in the optical disc. Information can be easily read from any point on the disk. So that is the meaning of random access method. So information can be easily read from any point on the disk. I mean to say we need not to follow in sequential order. Now CD-ROM, that is stands for compact disk read-only memory, is as an example for optical disk. So this optical disk, which works with the principle of optics, or nothing but light. Now optical track. So optical track is a recording unit of data on the disk. So here with respect to previous storage devices like floppy disk, hard disk and magnetic tape, where the data or information are stored under tracks and sectors. But here we are using an optical track. So this is the recording unit for storing the data. The information stored on CD-ROM is arranged according to the certain rules, and it is shaped like an optical track. So generally this data in optical disc are stored in optical track. Now let us go to one more devices, that is DVD, digital video disc. Now you might have heard what are DVDs, you are familiar with this. So DVD is one more secondary storage device. So digital video disc, it is full form of DVD is digital video disc. With the advance in optical disc technology, it cannot only store the video program but also to store music, data along with increased use. So it will be this type of CD-ROM referred as digital versatile disc. So DVD, it is another form of optical disc. So here this we are using advanced technology with respect to optics to store the data. Not only for video, we can also store different types of data like music, data along with the increased use. So this is a DVD, another secondary storage devices. Now let us move on to next slide. It is Blu-ray disc. We say BR, Blu-ray disc. This is another optical storage devices. You could have seen the image of that. So Blu-ray is a digital optical disc data storage format, and it was invented and developed in 2005, released worldwide in 2006. It consists of thickness of 1.1 mm of the recording layer and a thickness of only 0.1 mm composite made up of transparent protective layer. So this Blu-ray disc, it is next advanced version in optical storage medium. So this is the thickness of 1.1 mm and total thickness is 0.1 mm. It was capable of storing high definition video. Now we are talking about HD images. So high definition video, we are using this Blu-ray disc. And the main application of Blu-ray is the medium for video materials such as feature films, playstations, etc. So this is the application of Blu-ray disc. The name Blu-ray refers to the blue laser. This is a specialty of this. A blue laser, nothing but a violet laser used to read the disc, which allows the information to be stored at a greater density than is possible within the longer wavelength red laser used for DVDs. So here in DVDs we are using red laser, in Blu-ray disc we are using Blu-ray or violet laser for storing information, data and information. And the recording capacity is 23.3 GB up to 27 GB. Now you can compare the storage capacity of CD or DVD. Now this storage is higher as compared to CD or DVD. Here the storage capacity is around 23.3 up to 27 GB. So this is one of the optical disc, that is secondary storage devices. Students, in this session we have discussed about different storage devices, secondary storage devices like hard disk, magnetic tape, floppy disk, and DVD and are nothing but optical disc. We will continue our discussion in my next session. Thank you very much.